Okay, and I'm live. Happy Sunday, everyone, or for whatever day you actually tune in to watch me. Happy, whatever that day is. How was your week? I love always starting with that, just to know, just to touch base on how your week has been. What are the new lessons you learned this week? How have you grown? How have you evolved? Right? Like I strongly believe that one of our major purposes in this physical reality is to expand and become the best versions of ourselves. And that's something you you intention to do on a daily basis, especially in the world we live in where competition has been ingrained in us since a very young age. And most people are always so focused on trying to be better than the people around them, but not really focusing on being a better version of themselves. So as long as they're winning in the sense of in the relationship of other people, then I think they're making it. But sometimes, yes, you could be winning, but there'll always be um a fear element behind that kind of winning, that kind of competition, because I'm sure you had the phrase like just because you become number one doesn't mean you get to stay there. So you're gonna constantly be working to hold on to that position regardless of what happens, losing yourself in the process, losing your health, your friends, all of that, just to maintain that position, all because of, you know, what has been ingrained in us that competition is it, and that's not it. If you're ever gonna have to compete with anyone, compete with yourself, being the better version of yourself than you were yesterday, than you were last month, than you were last week. It doesn't matter, but just aim to be better. And when you're making comparisons, comparing yourself to who you were last year, who you were last month, not who you are in relation to other people, because we're all on different paths. So my path will never be the same as yours, and I think that's something that needs to be ingrained in a lot of us, especially from a young age. But unfortunately, we rarely have, um, not everyone is lucky to have this kind of insight imprinted in them in from a young age. But if you're watching this, I'm hoping that this is a wake up call to just start being different. Okay. So back to my question, how was your week? For me, my week was incredible in the sense that I got to research on two incredible spiritual people who made a serious significance in how the spiritual world operates. The two of them that I'm talking about is the Buddha and Yogananda. Okay, so I was doing a presentation just yesterday about Yogananda. So I'm currently reading his book, Autobiography of a Yogi. And by the way, this book is mind blowing. Even though I came across that book, that was so weird because before last year, I did not know who Yogananda was. I just happened to discover him from a certain podcast I was watching, and then that person kept on referring to the book Autobiography of a Yogi. And I got it last year, but I didn't feel like reading it because I had so many other things to tap into. So I finally started reading it this year, and it has been incredible. Like I'm just halfway through, but the level of wisdom in that book, mind blowing. That is a book I'd recommend to you. But the only disclaimer I'll give you is that you have to be mentally prepared to question what you know to be true or what you know human beings are actually capable of, because there is so much we're capable of, but that information has been denied to us. Or, yeah, because essentially how we are taught, right? We're taught that we're disempowered, you know, you can't really amount to anything, like those kind of belief systems that have been passed on to us from generation to generation. And no one, rarely are we taught to tap into our own power unless you're actually searching for it. If you may have the intention of searching of what else is there in the world other than what I know to be true right now, that's the only way you'll get exposed to all these things. So if you're ever gonna happen to read Autobiography of a Yogi, I tell you that you really have to be ready to expand your mind and allow the possibility that certain kind of people existed and still exist even until now, who have incredible gifts that we you might look at and think it's kind of like science fiction, but this is something that Yogananda actually went through during his lifetime. So Yogananda, for anyone who might not know, is what we would I would say like a lot of people consider him to be the father of modern day yoga practices and meditative practices that are adapted by the West. And the reason why is that he actually went to America in 1920 to share these yogic practices that he had been doing. Um, I will say like he will be credited with actually making Kriya yoga a common thing in the Western world, something that was unheard of before him. When he came to America is when he came to actually really change the or helped to merge the East and the Western spiritual practices and create what we know right now. It was so much fun actually researching him, and I'm going to be telling you the story about him in a bit. But the reason for this live is because I got so inspired by reading about him and also reading about Buddha. Buddha is also someone I wasn't so familiar with, of course. You know about the Buddha, the Buddhist monk. Like I know I've heard that term so many times, but I've never really gone into detail or gone being interested in actually finding out the origin of their their belief system, and who Buddha was. I've really never researched that until last week, but actually, when I got curious and I actually went and checked out a couple of videos just highlighting his story, and I was amazed at how um, incredible his life was. And the reason for my life is actually inspired by these two people and also other people that I had the ability to research on before I came to this life. Okay, so I'm going to share the story about Buddha and how he dared to be different. Okay. So Buddha, you would assume that for someone who's actually revolutionized spirituality as we know it, based on the Buddhism, right? Which is common. Like it's I wouldn't say it's all over the world. It's not something that's accepted, but a lot of the principles that they believe in, anyone who's in the spiritual community will actually resonate with that in some sense. Okay, but you would expect that Buddha and his and how he started off, right? Like my assumption was that the Buddha was like, he came into this world and he was really enlightened. I did not know that he was actually married before he decided to embark on his spiritual journey. So the story behind this is that his father got a prophecy that his son will either become the greatest sage for that lifetime or the greatest emperor for that lifetime. And of course, as a father, what did he want? He didn't want the son to become just a monk or whatever it was they termed them that those days. He didn't want that path for his son. He wanted the son to become a great emperor. The father was actually a king. Okay, so keep that in mind. So when he was told your son has the potential for these two paths, he picked the path for Buddha, which was I don't want you to become a sage or any kind of spiritual authority. I want you to become the greatest emperor. So what he did was he locked Buddha up, like he never exposed Buddha to the realities of the world. So the only thing that Buddha ever knew was just happiness. Okay. Any kind of, there was nothing like sickness, there was nothing like getting old. Like he was not exposed to what was actually happening in the real world. So his father kind of like kept him protected so that that curiosity of wanting to find out like what is there besides this world that I see. So that the father didn't want to spark his spiritual um, he didn't want to spark the spiritual path for the Buddha, so he kept him away from the world, prevent this from happening. So for a very long time, Buddha only knew that the world was, a very happy place, like everyone was, healthy and happy and all those things. And he actually eventually got married to a princess. And now, on one of these occasions, so I don't think he used to venture out. But one time he was in a carriage heading out with his driver, and he happened to come across or see someone who was begging on the street. And that shocked him because it was like, why would you be begging in the streets? Like he didn't even know the concept of the poor. And the driver tells him, yeah, this is someone who doesn't have enough food, doesn't have enough drink, and they have to be in the streets and request for other passerby or whoever is passing by to help him out. And this shocked the Buddha because he was never aware of that there was a reality that existed that people suffered. He only knew happiness, okay? Then, as they go along the path in his carriage or whatever they used to use those days, he comes across an old man. Here's the thing, he never seen a really old man in his life. All he knew was youthfulness and healthy people and all of that. And it saddened him to see someone struggling in that way. And this particular ride and him actually getting to see this other side of the world that had been denied to him. Remember, the dad had tried so much to protect you from this world, from the world as we know it. This one actually is um it's what inspired him to start searching for what else is there. Because what the driver told him was that he didn't know even people used to get old. That's how protected he was. And the driver tells him, like, yeah, as long as you're a human being, like that's the eventual end for you. You're gonna get old, you're not gonna be able to walk or something like that. And it made him so sad. He saw a sick person for the first time in his life during that ride. He didn't know people got sick. He only knew of health. So when he saw that and he thought, so you mean to tell me that all these things that I've grown up with thinking that this is how life is, they could go away in a moment's notice? That at some point in my life I could get sick and end up dying? He did not know that. He didn't know anything about sickness or death or all of that. Again, he only knew happiness. He didn't know that people got old. He didn't know that there were people begging on the streets. None of that was exposed to him. So he thought to himself that, what is the point of having all of this if that is my eventual end? I'm gonna get sick. I could get sick right now and lose everything. Or I could get old and not be able to do much and then lose again everything. Then what's the point of me having all this wealth if that's the eventuality that I'm heading to? Like, why am I holding on to this? And this thought really, really disturbed him for such a long time. And it's something that he thought of. He wanted to know what his true purpose was. Now he started feeling that unfulfillment. So what did he do? He thought about this for a very long time. His wife got pregnant, they got a child, and on the day that the child was born, his son was born, the Buddha decided to leave palace and run away from all he had known to be true, run away from the comfort of the palace, from the safety of the palace, and go and actually search for what is it? What is life about? And that's how he got started. It took him a couple of years. Apparently, the story goes that he thought that the way to enlightenment was, suffering through suffering. So he starved himself. He really took it far. It wasn't until the what was it? Like he had gotten to a certain river that he wanted to cross, and he didn't even have the energy to do that. So he gets into the water and he thinks he will be able to swim across the river or something like that. But then in the midway, like he has no strength. And that's when he had this realization of like, what on earth have I been searching for all my life? Because until then, he used to think that whatever that enlightenment, that fulfillment will be found on the outside. So he had been wandering and walking and looking and searching things outside of himself to find this enlightenment. And in that moment, at the very end, it just hit him like everything that I've been searching for, I already have within me. And that was his moment, his enlightenment moment. He woke up or finally awoke in that moment and eventually now ended up becoming the Buddha that we know of today. But what I love about this story is the fact that who in this world, and I know I've asked this question before, who in this reality will dare to walk away from the comfort of everything that they've known to be true? Picture this, you're living in a palace, you have everything imaginable available to you. You have your health, you have your family, you have people catering to your every whims, you've never known starvation, you have a roof over your head. Life is good. How many of us will actually dare to be different? How many of us will actually dare to walk out on that to try and find true meaning, true purpose in life? Not a lot of people will actually have that courage. And this again brings me to today's topic of daring to be different. You cannot expect to achieve greatness as long as you're conforming to what you know to be true. Remember, society has a way of operating, right? And essentially, the ideal society is where all of us are just living within those acceptable rules, living according to whatever society says is worthwhile pursuing, or what society believes to be true. So anyone who negates that is always considered an outcast, gets ridiculed, gets rejected for their belief system, gets rejected for their truth because they're daring to be different from what society knows to be true. But remember that a lot of the things that we've come to love and enjoy, the freedom, the technology, the advancement in humanity, they've only happened because people dared to be different. People dared to go beyond whatever was believed to be the norm, whatever was believed to be true. And of course, there's always a price to pay with that. Okay, so don't think that just because you embrace to follow your path, to follow your passion, to find, you the true meaning of life according to you, not according to what society says, that life is you won't face challenges. No. Part of that prize is that, yes, people will look at you, people will laugh at you, people will talk about you badly behind your back. And there's so many examples of this in society. And I love, if you're watching this, I love to hear what are some of the people who you've had their stories, such as this, that have actually inspired you to believe in what is actually possible when you decide to go against everything that you're taught to be believing. You might even be that person. So share your story down below. We always assume that um, daring to be different means you're going to achieve phenomenal greatness, that you're going to be world renowned for generation and generation. And that's not always the case. The very fact that even maybe in your family, you're the one person who decided that, you know what, I'm the one who's going to go to college in a family where no one knows even what college is. Everyone only reaches as far as high school. That's the maximum that you could go for. But you were the exception in the batch. You decided, you know what? This is not my truth. I want to go and achieve more and see what else is there in the world. So I'm going to go to university. Probably your family might have ridiculed you for that because up until you, no one else used to go to university. So you were the exception. And just by doing that, you show them or show the rest, the ones who come after you, or even the ones who are with you right now, that it is actually possible. Not about limiting yourself to, okay, I found this family only getting to high school, so I'm not going to aim higher. Aim higher. But that requires courage. It will require you to have resilience to actually get through all the all the blowback you'll be facing from choosing to be different. Okay. The other story I wanted to share with you is for Yogananda, okay, autobiography of a yogi. Brilliant book. I would still say that right now, even though I mentioned it before. But the thing I loved about Yogananda was the fact that, first of all, his father and his mother, yes, was spiritually inclined, but his father only didn't want the son to actually pursue a spiritual path. Yes, he was okay with that, but he also wanted the son to pursue, a career. So that time the father was a very affluent man. He used to head the railways during that time. That's in India, back in the 1900s. Let me just say that because that's around the time Uganda was born in 1893. So his father was very affluent and he believed, yes, I am spiritual, but I have a family to take care of. He had 8 kids that had to be provided for. So as much as he wanted to pursue the spiritual path, reality was different. He had to provide. So for him, he wanted the same for the son. And actually, even Uganda's older brother followed the same path that the dad did. So it was also expected that Yogananda would do the same. But what I love about Yogananda was from a young age, his only mission in life was just to align with God or find alignment with the divine, right? So he was constantly searching for his gurus, constantly trying to search for, I want to say, I think he wanted to find God. And he wanted any way that would get him there or anyone who would guide him to get there. That's what he was searching for most of his life. So much so that he turned his back on what the world or what the parents or what the family expected him to do, which was go to school, graduate, get a job, get a wife, get kids, and all of that. That is what the father wanted him to do. They tried to set him up to get married a couple of times, and he rejected all of that. He didn't want that for himself. He graduates college, and the father expects him to pick up a huge position at the railway he was working at, but Yogananda was not for that. Instead, he dared to be different. What did he do? First of all, he spent a majority of his time searching for his guru, and he finds his guru instructs him and all of that. And after he graduates from college, what does Yogananda do? Doesn't choose to go back to have a career as his father wanted. No, he decides that he's going to set up his own school and share his practices or how he thought education should be. So he set up set up a school which actually exists until now. Okay. And the school was teaching students not only yoga practices, but also yoga plus also the education of that time. So he found a way to actually combine the two, spirituality and the modern day world. And again, made a huge difference just from daring to go against what society was telling him to do. Because again, everyone was expecting you need to get married, you need to have a career, and that's the only way people are going to respect you. And he didn't. He dared to be different. He dared to pursue his spiritual path because to him, that's the only thing that made sense. And because of that, he ended up coming and bringing those practices to America and revolutionized, spirituality as we know it in the West. Made a huge difference just from daring to be different. It's not like he wasn't ridiculed for it. He was constantly ridiculed by his peers in college, in high school, because he refused to attend class. Even his own family at some point was against him until they actually understood what he was trying to do, until they actually saw the kind of capabilities they actually had just from pursuing that. So once they saw that, then somehow you're gonna end up manage to convert even this so-called naysayers. And that's what usually happens with anyone who dares to be different. Yes, you're gonna get ridiculed until people actually see that, hey, this actually works. This actually makes sense. And once you actually start showing that there are results you're creating, boom. Now all of them, the ones who are your biggest naysayers are the ones who are going to be turning back and say, like, teach me your ways. And that's happened with all these people I'm mentioning. Buddha, the wife, of course, after Buddha left the wife seriously on the day that his son got born. Of course, that's not easy for any woman to go through, to face that kind of rejection, not knowing where your husband is. She constantly had rumors about him and how he used to walk around and beg and like all those rumors. Of course, that's hurtful for anyone to go through. And do you know the most amazing thing that happened was that once the wife saw the dedication that Buddha had to his path, she also got inspired to start following suit and started emulating him. Just from based on what Buddha was doing, she just started embracing that path as well and letting go of the materialistic world. Because to her, again, that made sense. Everyone expected her to be a princess. Everyone expected her to, enjoy the princess kind of life. She gave up all of that. She stopped wearing the expensive jewelry. She stopped wearing the expensive clothes. Because to her, whatever the husband was doing, that made sense. She dared to be different. I'm thinking of another spiritual authority who everyone knows, and that's Jesus. I mean, he was a controversial person, right, during his time. Or everything that he talked about really triggered a lot of people because he was not conforming to what society said he was supposed to do. He wasn't saying what society expected him to say. He came up with different theories, different ways of operation, different ideologies that really threatened the status quo. And because of that, yes, he did face ridicule. He did face people questioning his status and his authority to say the things he was saying constantly. That's something he had to deal with for a lot of his lifetime, right? When he was doing the work he was doing. But look at what his teachings have actually done to the world right now. Everyone, I don't think, okay, I don't know if this is true, but I'm sure like the name Jesus is known all around the world. Okay, even though you don't believe in it, but you know who Jesus is. Because he dared to be different. He didn't conform. If he had conformed and, being scared of what the society will say, oh no, I'm saying controversial ideas, they're rejecting me. Let me just say what they're used to so that I can just be like everyone else. The world never changes when everyone just wants to be the same. It never goes, like, no one talks about that. Think about it. If you're just the same as all the people around you, no one is doing anything different, regardless of what you do. What will be there to share with the rest of the world? Like everyone is the same, right? But the ones who dare to just step out of that, now you give people something to talk about. Now you're gonna be allow me to say this, you're gonna be famous all over the world just because you decided to do something that not everyone else was doing. Now everyone will be like, oh, hold up, that's different, that's new. And they're gonna get curious. They might not get it, which is what happens with a lot of people once they decide to go against the status quo. Most people don't get it. Remember that your mind is always designed to stay safe, and that's always in your comfort zone. So anything that goes beyond that, it's like a threat to the mind's survival. So you're always gonna constantly face rejection because of that. Because everyone thinks like, why do you want to go beyond this safe little bubble that you're in? Things are working. Why do you want to think differently? Right? But this person, because they're guided by their insight, they're guided by the intuition that tells you, like, no, there's something out there that we're not seeing. Okay, another example that just came to mind was it Copernicus? I hope I had that right. So if I'm wrong about that, the guy who actually insisted, let me just check on the internet if I'm actually right. Copernicus and I will assume that Copernicus was the one who, yeah. So Copernicus was actually the one who dared to tell the world that the Earth was not flat, but actually round. And if I'm not wrong, he died for that, if I'm not wrong, only for people later on to actually come and, you know, believe him, right? But he dared to be different because to him, like, it makes sense that everyone was saying the world was flat, like for him and his ideologies then, the whatever kind of calculation he was doing, the only thing that made sense was that the world was wrong. But no one believed him. Right to his life, but he stuck to that. He dared to be different. And now I would say most of the world believes the world is round and not flat as we originally believed it. And again, no attack to the flat earthers out there. By all means, I respect all beliefs here. Okay. The other the other person that comes to mind is Nikola Tesla. I mean, if you actually check his, even the way he died in the most miserable state. He wasn't as revered as he is right now. A lot of people actually started recognizing his work and the groundbreaking theories that he shared in the 1990s. So for all that time, people actually didn't understand what he was trying to do in the world. And mind you, a lot of his technology, we don't even have access to that right now because they blocked it. They prevented the society or the world from seeing. So it wasn't like, yes, he was known, but his work was not as celebrated as it is right now. Yes, he got ridiculed. Yes, he faced so many challenges. He was not as accepted. I'm sure if he was alive right now, people will be celebrating him because now a lot of people get what he was trying to do. He's revered right now compared to how he was when he was during his lifetime. No one got him. He faced so many challenges, died in the most deplorable conditions ever for such an incredible inventor. Come on. If you're constantly going to be spending your life waiting for the world to give you permission, you're gonna wait a long time for that to happen. A long time. Most people, first of all, they don't give a crap as long as you're not affecting their life in any way. They don't really care about you. So if you're constantly living for them and waiting for them to give you permission to be yourself, that's never gonna happen. You could spend an entire lifetime waiting for that to happen, and it will never happen. You could spend a lifetime waiting for someone to give you permission to follow that idea, to follow that passion, to follow that desire that you had inside you. Never gonna happen. Okay? As long as you're willing with there, living with this comfortable bubble that we all know that's expected of you, no one is ever gonna tell you, okay, go and do something different. That's very rare. If you have that in your life, if you have people around you who are actually encouraging you to be different, celebrate that. That's actually good. That's very rare. Okay. A lot of people who go against society, again, will always face ridicule, even from their loved ones, right? Even from the people that they've known and loved their entire life, they will ridicule them, reject them, laugh at them. It's the price we pay. But it only hurts for a bit. That's how you want to look at it. But later on, and chances are maybe even in this lifetime, a lot of people are not going to get what you're trying to do. But if at all, whatever you're working at, whatever you dare to believe in, whatever you dare to put your effort into, it's going to make a difference. Even though it's not in this lifetime, eventually people will get it. I mentioned Jesus. I mentioned Nikola Tesla. I mentioned who else? I'm sure there's someone else I've missed. Oh, Van Gogh. Everyone knows who Van Gogh is. I've never seen his paintings, so I can't say like I'm very knowledgeable about artwork. But based on the stories that I've heard about him, his work was not as celebrated as it is right now. Yes, he was a painter. Yes, he sold a couple of paintings, but you cannot compare his work then and his work right now. Like right now, it's way more valuable. I'm sure if he had the money that his paintings are actually being sold for right now, it would have made a huge difference for him. He didn't live in the with the kind of means that you would expect for such an artist who's made such a huge difference in this lifetime. I mean, I saw online that his paintings are worth what, over 80 million or even 100, depending on which year, because of course, inflation and all of that. There's one painting of his that actually got sold at 83 million during this generation, during this lifetime that he is. And that's crazy. Think about what you will do with 83 million if someone gave it to you right now. Pretty sure you'll do a lot, right? And I'm sure if Van Gogh had that kind of access, then, well, maybe his life wouldn't have been as, whatever it was at that time. Something will have been different. But he didn't have that access. People didn't get it. People didn't get his work. People didn't see his genius when he was alive. But later on, they got it. Okay? That's the other thing, right? Maybe a lot of people won't understand because remember that if you're doing or sharing ideas that challenge the status quo, it might take some time for people to be accepting of that. Remember that we attract things that we're a vibrational match to, and that also goes for information. So you could be sharing information based on where you currently are on a vibrational level, right? But a lot of the people are still on a lower vibration. So you could share and share and share, and they won't get it because it's a mismatch, right? It will be a rejection. But once they're able to raise their vibration and get here, guess what's gonna happen? Now it's gonna start making sense. And this is what actually happens with so many people. We didn't get it before when they were sharing their ideologies, but once we've been able to raise our vibration to match the vibration that they were sharing this information in, now we get it. Now we start celebrating them. Okay. And I've shared on my channel like a lot of the belief systems that I have right now, or even the kind of teachers and the kind of information I'm tapping into right now. I was not a vibrational match to it 5 years ago. So if you gave me someone like the book Autobiography of a Yogi 5 years ago, yeah, I wouldn't have been as open to it as I'm open to it right now because it really challenges you, in a beautiful way if you're willing to accept that as a reality. But if you gave me this book in 5 years, I would have thought that was a science fiction book. I kid you not. That's how incredible that book is. But right now, I get it because I've become a vibrational match to it. And the reason why I didn't even attract the book or even know of him before last year is because, again, I wasn't a vibrational match to the information that was being shared in that book. So there's always a beautiful design to how the universe works. So the minute you become a vibrational match to the information, that's when it starts becoming acceptable because people now are willing to listen, right? You don't have to struggle or force things down their throat. They just get it. But for that to happen, it will take some time. But even if you're facing this kind of ridicule, it does not tell you or kind of like give you permission to conform and forget who you actually are. It doesn't tell you, it doesn't mean that if you're going against what people believe to be true, there's something wrong with you. Because this is where people get lost and they get scared when everyone is like attacking them and talking about them and all of that. Then they're like, okay, wait, 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 I'm gonna stop. Okay, let me just do whatever you guys want me to do. And then we lose the magic that's in them. We lose the unique gift that they have to share with the world. So if you're watching this, remember again, I'm not talking about you have to be like great and world renowned, but stay true to yourself. You never know. Right now, you might not have that as a potential, but that as a reality. But who knows? You stick on your path, and the more and more you commit to being the best version of yourself, eventually, remember you're going to be able to access more and more of who you are, really tap into creativity, really tap into something bigger than yourself. And who knows? You might actually end up creating something that changes the world. But don't give up on being you just because the world does not accept you. That's just a price to pay. But that's only for a limited time. Okay? Remember, at the end of it all, you came to the world alone. You're gonna leave this world by yourself. You're not gonna have all these people. So you have to live a life that's really aligned to who you are. So that at the very end, and there's a reason why I talk about this, because so many people end up regretting life later on because of things they didn't do when they had the time and the energy to do it. So don't get there. Don't live your life trying to be something that you're not just because society tells you this is the only way to live. No one ever does anything incredible just from staying the same. So dare to be different, and who knows what you'll be capable of actually achieving. And these people, again, who are laughing at you right now and pointing their fingers at you tomorrow, they're the same ones who are going to be at your doorstep saying, teach us your ways, teach us everything you know. How did you make it? Happens. It's happened so many times before, okay? So if you're watching this, I love to know your stories with us. Like I love to learn from people. So, and I'm sure there's so many people that I missed out on. The ones I mentioned today are the ones I actually researched on. So if you know of any other, please do not hesitate to share with me down below and share with everyone and let's inspire and learn from each other. Okay. And if you're watching this and maybe you haven't yet subscribed to my channel, please do subscribe and also click on the notification bell so that you don't miss out on any time I go live. I always go live every Sunday at this time, unless something changes, and I don't know because you never know about tomorrow, right? But every Sunday at this time, I'm always live, sharing my insights, sharing my knowledge, sharing my aha moments for the week, for the month, and all of that. I love sharing with them. Okay, so support the channel if you actually like the kind of content I share out here, and also make sure that you check out down below. I always have a gift. If you check out my link in that's in the about section, or if not, you can check out the link down below. I do have a beautiful content for meditation that can actually help you access that state for yourself, access your inner being. Remember that we're operating the world we live in. Like there's so much noise, so many ideas in the world right now, and it's very easy to lose sense of who you actually are if you're constantly getting distracted by what the world wants you to become. If you want to really connect your inner being, really tap into your most authentic self, you can start by this quantum flow meditation that's actually free. You only share your email address and the link gets dropped immediately to your inbox. And then just start doing that, clearing whatever is keeping you stuck, clearing the distractions, the emotions, the mental patterns, the thoughts, the trauma, all of that. Yeah, start clearing that out so that you can now start hearing that voice from your inner guidance more clearly. So check out the free Quantum Flow link, Quantum Flow meditation link down below, and start doing the meditation constantly and just witness how your life actually starts changing from that. And for me, I am an intuitive healer. I do work with two modalities, sorry. One of which is quantum flow, which is what I'm talking about with the meditation. So quantum flow is all about rewiring your nervous system. It's actually a technology. That's what I call it because for me, it's something that uses breathwork, sound, and movement, but it uses that to help you rewire your nervous system. And by rewire, I mean clear out all these old patterns, all these old stories, all these old versions of yourself that you're still carrying with you at a physical level. So any kind of wound, any kind of trauma, any kind of negative kind of experience you've had in your lifetime, all the way from your mother's womb, as long as you experience it, it always gets recorded within your body. And that happens within your nervous system. So a lot of people are constantly operating from the modes of anger, disappointment, fear, jealousy, and all of that frustration, just because they have all of these stuck patterns, right? They've showed up in the world based on who they were in the past over and over again. And the more you do that, the more you're giving energy to that version of yourself, the more you're making it stronger. So a lot of people are operating from low vibrational emotions, low vibrational mental patterns that really don't support the higher state that they want to achieve. And because of that, because they're so stuck in who they were in the past, guess what? They're not even able to connect to their inner being and really connect with their soul's purpose. Really listen to that intuitive guidance that shows them the true path to follow, who to call into their lives, who to relate with, and all of that. So constantly allowing the world to tell them who they are because they have no sense of connection with their soul to tell them who they actually are. So if you're curious about this and you want to break down these patterns that have been keeping you stuck and limited for a very long time, you can check out the links down below. You can either book a discovery call with me if you have more questions about this, or you can connect with me on Facebook or Instagram, ask any questions you have of me, and hopefully you can book a session and get to experience the magic of this. If you're still not sure, you can also check out the meditation, which is a beautiful, just a little bit of a taste of what quantum flow is because it's so much more than that particular meditation. So if you're curious, and maybe you want to first experience it for yourself before you say yes to a session with me, you can check out the free quantum flow meditation in the link in the description box down below. The second modality I do work with is called soul realm, which is based on working with the Akashic records. The reason why I love this modality so much is because, again, based on how society operates and people having lost sense of what unique abilities they have to share with the world or what unique abilities they can tap into and leverage to create a better experience for themselves. So many people have lost who they are, lost their identity because especially on social media, there are a million ways which you can actually pursue success or happiness. And everyone is always trying to convince everyone that this is the path to truly, if you're not doing this, if there's something wrong with you. And you find that so many people follow a path, even though it's not right for them. And what normally happens in such cases, you'll find it will work for some. For other people, not so much. And then you're gonna be sitting there and wondering, like, how come that person was able to tap into success and yet me? Even after the 5, 10, whatever months or years I've put into this, like I'm not even scratched the surface level of the kind of success I'm seeing them have. The reason for that is that remember, if they're making choices aligned to who they are at soul level, that is just the natural progress of life because they're working hand in hand with what their soul came here to do. But if you lost connection with that, if you lost connection with your whatever unique abilities you have to share with the world, and you're trying to be something that you're not, trying to compete against yourself, doing things against what you were designed to do, it's only going to create a lot of dysfunction in your life. Okay. And that's always manifested in different areas of our lives. So, if you want to connect with who you actually are and really determine your soul level gifts that actually come easy and natural to you, the same way that whatever you're admiring for that person comes easily and natural to them. Remember, not everyone is built to be a designer. Not everyone is built to be a dancer. Not everyone is built to be a writer. People are gifted individually, and the way that they're able to achieve that level of, I want to say success or level of how they show up in the world is because they're living aligned to who they were designed to be. If you're curious about how you were designed to be, you can check out the solar element um, session and see what it can do for you. But the other thing about the solar element is that it helps to clear out all these energetic negative patterns that you've picked up as a soul in your different lifetimes. So remember that you probably lived a couple of lifetimes. If you're watching this, you probably lived a lot of lifetimes before, and your soul, as long as you forgot yourself in the past and you made negative choices that went against who you were in the past, you find that you keep on attracting the same set of circumstances, even though they might appear different, even though they might appear like it's different players all the time. But you'll find like the energetic underlying quality is always the same. Either you're gonna be doomed to face betrayal for the rest of your life, you're gonna be doomed to experience hate or experience abuse in some sort of way. If you find that certain kind of patterns keep on recurring in your lifetime and you have no idea where they come from, chances are they're connected to a past life version of you. And chances are, whatever choices you made then, you're still making right now because you have no awareness as to what those patterns are. So if you want to know what patterns have been creating the kind of experiences you have right now, if you want to know the backstory behind that and what choices you made then that you're still making now, so that now you can get empowered to make different choices and stop attracting the same people and the same circumstances again and again, you can actually determine that with a soul element reading. And then you get to energetically heal from all these negative karmic patterns so that you're no longer operating from as a victim of who you were in the past, but really being intentional in creating a better life experience for yourself going forward. Then now you stop attracting those people and the circumstances, right? Because you're no longer vibrational match to that. And you start making different choices, really getting intentional with that based on the information that you'll get from the reading. So if any of this sounds incredible and maybe you're like, huh, that actually sounds interesting and I want to experience that, but maybe you're not sure if it's going to be a fit, you can go ahead and book a discovery call with me or connect with me on Facebook or Instagram. The links to all of that are down below in the description box and ask any question you have of me. I'll always happy to answer. And if you're watching this, I do hope that I am going to get to see you on the other side. Okay, so thank you so much for watching thus far. Thank you so much for your support. I will see you on the next Sunday. Again, remember to subscribe and also click on the notification bell so that you don't miss out on any alerts on any time I go live. Sending you so much love, and I will see you on the next live. Bye for now. Oh, and enjoy your week. And I'm looking forward to hearing what new lessons and what new experiences that you have in the coming week. Okay, so please make sure that you share your intentions down below, share the new lessons, share whatever it is that you want to share or something that you're working on, and let me and the rest of the community actually celebrate you for that. Okay, so again, bye for now, and out.